The worst song on the album that I would probably say, probably that Bloodhound song.
Yeah, I think
I
that's the
mean,
one
to
with Young Buck.
me, yeah, with One Buck, to me, that's the song when you listen to it sonically, that's the one that sticks out to me. Like it's like, let's be honest, when that song was done at that time, I heard 50's quote in his comments, and he said that, we was in a kind of a boom bap era, and the energy was low. But I would honestly disagree. At that time, there was still the Southern influence was taking over. You know what I mean? You still had those artists out there. I mean, look, Young Buck, he signed Young Buck because of his influence of coming from, from that era of, Juvenile and all of that type of sound was still kind of rocking. 50 was the one that was bringing the New York sound back. You know what I mean? But with that Bloodhound song, I feel like that was kind of catering to that audience that was happening at the time. So for me, that's the song that sticks out. Sonically, I guess, when you listen to it. But in my humble opinion, to me, that's the point. I mean, if you got a track like that along with the other tracks that Dr. Dre did and those type of things, then it's not going to sound the same because I'm not Dr. Dre. You know what I'm saying? And also, just when it was done, it was a different frame of mind and different way of thinking. So when you're trying to blend those two things together, I can see that. My favorite record that I probably put out, most people may not be too familiar with it, is the 357 from Cameron. We were doing, people have in hip hop have used television themes before, but nobody was really trying to sample them and chop them up before. And when that song came out during the Cameron, during that era, 88, 97, 97, 90, 98, Bad Boy was on the scene doing a lot of 80s pops records, whereas that was kind of one of those records that went left field. So that's one of my favorites.
Off the top of my head, was that Magnum PI?
That was Magnum PI, yes, television show, Magnum PI. Like I said, a lot of, there was different songs before that in the 80s, they had Inspector Gadget and different things, but they were always being replayed as kind of a jingle. That's kind of why, I did the projects and all of the future projects that I have coming out now, because I don't agree that hip hop is in a crazy state, because you can find the hip hop that you want if you look for it. And that's kind of the problem. Like, people complain about, the major record companies, they take over, and they putting out all this BS and all of that. But at the end of the day, this is the best time ever to kind of put out your own music, make it the way you want. Yeah, the major record labels are going to put out a certain kind of music because that's what they do. They make records. They want to sell records, and that's what they want to sell, a certain kind of product that they can multiply into sales. That's been no secret. But, now today you can do so many things with music. And that's why I did the person of interest, because, like the famous Toni Morrison quote, if there's a book that you want to read, but it's not out there yet, then you must write it. And that's kind of the thing when I thought about the music business, the same thing. I actually wrote a book called The Beat Game because of that. I was looking for a book on the music business. It wasn't out there. I had some of the experiences that I went through in the business. Wrote the book. That's how that came about. And now, almost probably 8 years later, because I think I released The Beat Game in 2015, and now back to doing some music hard, and it's the same thing where I wanted to put out the music that I genuinely liked.